Good day, everyone. Hope you all are doing absolutely well. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Leadership Matters podcast, a podcast that is designed for you who are leaders. I am here to speak with each one of you each and every time we convene. My desire is to give leadership counsel, leadership wisdom, and leadership nuggets. Thank you for being a part of this episode. I believe leadership matters. How about you? I believe that every day you can learn from a leader. The challenge, however, is there are some people who occupy leadership titles but don't actually exemplify leadership qualities. So, in today's episode, I want to really explain what leadership matters really means. Forget about the podcast title. I mean, what does leadership matter really mean? Think about this. As a leader, someone is always watching what you do and how you do it. They're watching how you carry yourself. They're watching how you handle situations because your leadership really does matter. In the world that we live in, at every level of government, there are leaders. On the federal level, we have a president who is our national leader. In our states, we have governors who are our statewide leaders. In local government, we have mayors. They are our local leaders. You also have Congress, you have legislatures, you have city and county commissions at each of these levels. They are known as leaders. They have run for office, they've been elected by the constituency to occupy a seat for 2 years, 4 years, but they are known as leaders. Here is the challenge, though. They have a leadership title, but may not have leadership qualities. So when we have leadership matters, what we are saying is that it goes beyond the title that you occupy. Leadership matters mean that you are exemplifying quality, influence, expertise, wisdom, engagement each and every day. It is important to understand for each of us who are blessed to be leaders, for us to understand, as I aforementioned, there's always someone watching you. I believe also that you can learn even from bad leadership. You can learn what not to do. You can learn better ways of doing what someone else is or is not doing. And so it is important to know that every day in the classroom of life, we are learning, we are engaging, we are experiencing from somebody else's classroom. And so it is important for those of you who are leaders to really look at yourself in the mirror and really assess, how do you want to be defined? Do you want those who consider you to be their leader to have a hard time defining your leadership style? There are some who are vocal leaders, and there are some who are non-vocal leaders. You hear this a lot in the sports world, where you have a quarterback who's a really good quarterback, and sometimes the commentators will say, well, he's known for being a quiet leader, meaning that he leads by his example, right? He goes out and trains hard every day and practices hard every day, plays in the game hard every day. And so they may not say a lot in the huddle, may not say a lot in practice, but you can learn from his leadership by way of how he carries himself. Then you have vocal leaders. These are the individuals who can be heard before you can even see them. They want to make sure that everybody is being accountable for the actions that they are exemplifying. This is important because these individuals are known not just for how they carry themselves, but also what they are saying. But let me caution those who are vocal leaders, because when you are known for being loud and you're known for being audacious with your tone, people tend to look at you a lot more. And as a result, you're always expected to be on 10. You're always expected to be displaying leadership and actually showing what must be done. Any area of life, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a politician, if you are a pastor, if you are a parent, if you are a spouse, whatever it may be, every day you are in some level of a leadership role. I will share with you, I've been disappointed at times because I thought that certain people were really good leaders. I had high expectations for him or her to do amazing things in a certain leadership role, and they did a horrible job. And then you have to step back and ask yourself, Was it the person or was it you? Did you have an expectation or an assumption that he or she could never live up to? We think about leadership and why leadership matters. It's important to know these three most important things. First and foremost, every leader must look at himself or herself in the mirror. Every leader must look at himself or herself in the mirror. You have to look at yourself and really examine yourself. What is it about you that makes your leadership matter? Just because you tell me you are a leader does not mean that I take your leadership seriously. You have to do a self evaluation. What is it about you that makes your leadership matter? So, again, number one is every leader must examine himself or herself in the mirror. Number two, every leader must make sure that they're worth following. Every leader must make sure that they're worth following. What are you actually displaying that makes me want to follow your leadership? Does I take you seriously? I get it that you are self-important. I get it that you believe that you have things under control. But the truth of the matter, my leader, male and or female, is it what makes you worth following? So number one, you have to assess yourself to figure out what is it about you that makes you a leader. And then number two, why should anybody follow you? And then number three, which I think is even more important for every leader, is this. Does your character complement your leadership? Does your character complement your leadership? When people mention your name, does your leadership and your character match up? Because a lot of times you have leaders who have bad character. And so now it's very hard for a person to take you seriously because although you have the title, your character is so very bad. You have a stain on your character. You have a bad reputation surrounding your character. So although you may have ascended to a leadership role, no one takes you seriously because your character is not intact. I always say this. I believe that character ought to speak for you when you can't speak for yourself. What does that mean? When you're not in the room with other people and your name come up. When your character is intact, they'll say things like this. Nah, it's not the Darrick that I know. Because your character is intact, people will feel compelled to defend you even in your absence. So every leader who's listening to me, let's do a self-evaluation. What is it about you that makes anybody want to consider you to be a leader? Number two, why should anybody follow your leadership? And then number three, does your character match your leadership? Just because you have the title does not mean that you have guaranteed acceptance or permission to assume that anyone's going to trust you as a leader. I'm blessed and I'm fortunate to occupy leadership titles in various capacities. And yet and still, every single day, I have to show up to live up to the titles that I have been blessed to carry. Just having the title means nothing. And you cannot become so impressed by yourself until you forget that just because you have the title does not mean that you're living up to the title. So today, as you think about leadership mattering, you want to make sure that you are putting in the work to always make sure that your leadership does matter. For this podcast, this is our inaugural episode. This podcast does not plan on being 30 and 45 minutes. The ultimate goal is to be 10 to 15 minutes of impact, of engagement, of influence, but also of stretching. And so in this inaugural episode, I want to say to each of you, leadership matters. Therefore, make sure that you, my fearless leader, are doing something that makes your leadership matter. If not, you may be a hindrance to people who really ought to be excelling in areas of life. Be careful about what you do and how you do things. If you're not careful, they won't see you as a leader, they'll see you as a burden. I am Darrick McGhee. This is the inaugural episode of Leadership Matters, and I want to thank each one of you for making time to listen in. Hopefully now you will be impacted. Listen, I encourage you to leave a comment. Leave a comment so that we may know how this podcast can be of service to you. If there's a topic you want to talk about, happy to talk about that on a future episode. Till next time, remember, every leader has a responsibility to make sure that his or her leadership matters. God bless you.